So we are going to be decorating a 4-foot no-bow wreath. To do that, the first thing we're going to do is consult our book. We are going to go to Holiday Favorite, and we will be looking for the no-bow 14-foot wreath, or 4-foot wreath. So here we have it. We will take it out, make a photocopy of it, cross off the items as we put them in our kits, and then we will create our kit, which we have done. Then we will get the guide, the picture, which is the 4-foot no-bow wreath. Now, as I make this wreath, I'm trying to be as consistent to what I have going on here as possible, but there may be some changes. And that might be because of alterations to the package by the client, or that might be that we are out of a particular item, or just different reasons why we might change. So we want to be consistent to this, but not entirely dependent upon what we see here. So the first thing I do is I place the 8 large balls on. I have two, a red and a gold, and a red and a gold that are much larger, my 120 and my 140, and my 120 and my 140. And you'll be able to see this in a picture, but what we're always doing is doing red, gold, red, gold, red, gold, red, gold. And our larger ones are opposite of each other just to add a little bit of symmetry. So what I'm going to do is I've placed in these large balls according to the picture, and then what I've done is I've taken my pine cones, and in between each of these large balls I put my pine cones. Now I could put my pine cones on first for spacing. It doesn't really matter. You could do pine cones first or the large balls first, but I chose the large balls this time around. So I put in a large pine cone, then 2 small pine cones in between, a large pine cone, 2 small ones large, 2 small ones large. And those have been placed on. Now, when the next thing I like to do is to tie in my large balls. So what I'm going to do, with the balls that are 120 and 130 or 140 or even 150s, I'm going to take this wire and I'm actually going to pass it all the way through my wreath to the back side, and I'm going to push that down, and I'm going to find a piece of greenery that's somewhere near the outside here, and I'm going to twist it under here, and I will twist tie this and tie it together, and I will show a picture of this and you will be able to see it as well, but that becomes a very nice tight fit there. I have this wire that has come through, and now I want to make sure that this green ornament is pulled tight, so I'm going to find a piece of greenery that is not right next to it. So the wire has come through right here. I'm going to find a piece of greenery over here, and I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to take the greenery and I am going to twist tie it at least 4 times. When I'm done, I'm going to take and pull up on the ball from the top side and make sure that it is good and firm. And we're actually going to walk around and see that here. This ball is now nice and firm. So I take this one, take my wire, passing it all the way through, pushing it down deep. I'm taking a piece of greenery that's not right next to it down here, because if I take a piece of greenery that's right next to it, it'll just pull straight out. But I'm taking a piece of greenery from the outer edge, I'm bringing it under, and then twist tying it together. And then, of course, I'm going to check and make sure that these aren't going anywhere. I've taken my 100s and I've tied them in. The 100s are tied from the top, and these tie all the way to the bottom. So it's just good to go through and check and make sure everything is in. This one has not been placed in. I will put it through, push it down, grab a greenery from the edge, and then twist tie it together. Okay, so now those are all in place. I could go through and tie in all of my pine cones as well, but to speed things up, I'm just going to set the pine cones in deep. Okay, so now those are all placed. The next thing is to add the rest of my balls, and this is the way it works. I have a large ball. I'm going to have 3 smaller ones next to it. A large ball, 3 smaller ones next to it, large, 3 small. It's just a pattern going around. If I have a red ball here, I may have 2 golds and a red. If I have a gold, I'm going to have 2 reds and a gold. And while I've got the pattern to follow, I don't have to follow it exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and begin here with my 2 reds and a gold. Now, this is a 100, and I'm putting this 100 next to this 130 to help give it a little bit of dimension. If I just add in the smaller balls here, if I use this one, everything looks kind of small compared to it. So if I have a 100 next to this 130, it adds some different sizes along with those textures. Now as I come around here, I'll do 2 golds and a red. I'm actually going to put this down here. Yeah, I'll put it. 2 golds and a red. If I come back around here, I have 2 golds, and a red. I'm actually going to flip-flop these so that this gold is not right next to that one. And I'm going to move this over so we have some differences there. And then we'll have 2 reds and we have a gold. This one actually, I'm going to make this a slightly larger one here because this is a larger ball. And then we have 2 golds and a red. As I do this, I'm trying to make a little pit for these to fall in. I usually have a larger table, so I'm kind of getting some sag on either side. If I find my ornament's going to roll on me, I can go ahead and put it in. To hold it in place. And as I come around here, I want 2 reds. And a gold. And then 2 golds. And a red. Okay. Now I've placed those all in. I need to tie them in. This is the way we tie them. We pretend that there is a wire or a rod running right down the middle of this wreath. There is no top side to this wreath. If there was a top side, we would tie as though gravity's pulling our balls down. But there is no top side, so we have to tie as though any side could be the side that's down. So what we do is we take our ornaments and we take our wire and we're tying everything to the center. So this ornament I'm going to tie so the balls to the outside and the wires to the center. I'm going to hold next to the ornament and I'm going to go deep and I'm going to wrap around 4 times. Then I'm going to take this piece of greenery and tuck under it to give it some lift. This one, because it's on the inside, I'm going to tie this direction. So my wire this time will be facing this way. What that does is prevent an ornament from falling where it shouldn't be. So if I take, let's say I have this ornament. I'm going to swap places here for a minute. Let's say I take this ornament and I tie it right here. And it's positioned great. That's a fine place. However, over time, because the tie is right here in this center, it's going to fall out here. And then this one will fall out here. So we tie to the center to prevent that from ever happening. So I'm going to take and hold close to the ball, push down deep, and wrap around 4 times. The larger the ornament, the deeper it has to go. So these 100s have to go all the way to the base, the bar at the bottom. These larger pine cones, same thing. I'm going to take them and I'm tying them right dead center here. And I'm pushing them down just as deep as I can get them. I take my thumb and I push down all the way. And then I wrap around 4 times. Then I will come through and I will check. That one was not tied in. So I'm going to tie to the center this direction with the bar running that direction. This is a smaller ornament, so I'm going to tie it closer to the top. And I'm going to lift it as well. So we are going to pretend that we have gone through and we have tied in each of these ornaments. Always keeping in mind your center bar that you're tying towards. Always keep in mind the deeper the ornament, the deeper it has to go. And if you need to, you create a little hole for your ornament to go down into. So we will place those there. So now we've got our ornaments on. The next thing that we do is we want to add our leaves. We'll add whatever the number says of the leaves. If you find you need one more, that's fine. Go ahead and add it. If you need one less, that's fine. Go ahead and take it off. Just depending on the way the greenery is facing or the way the pine cones, some pine cones are larger, some pine cones are smaller. Sometimes you'll find that you need things just a little bit different than it says in a kit. But generally speaking, you're going to always follow the kit, and it's going to work out every time if you follow the kit. So I'm just identifying where I might put these. If we have 2 tones, 2 colors, we'll do a red and then a silver and then a red and a silver, or a red and a gold and a red and a gold. Some will come right in the center and some will come off. I do tend to make them all go the same direction. Not necessary, but that's the way I do it. Okay, so I have leaves here. Now what I'm going to do when I tie these leaves on is I'm going to take a piece of greenery around here and a piece of greenery around the top. So across the bottom and across the top. And I'm just going to take and wrap around 1 time. And if I can, I'll bring that piece of greenery so it stands straight up. And what that does is when it's time to take it off, I can just reach in and feel this little tip here and I can unwind it. And I will, at the front, do the same thing. If I don't have enough to go all the way around, I just bend down once. The leaves don't go anywhere. They don't fall off. The ornaments will fall off. So you need to be more careful with the ornaments than the leaves as far as making sure they're secure. Now once again, I'm not going to go all the way around. This would be tied that direction with the wire to the inside. I'm not going to go through and tie everything on. I just want you to get the concept of what we're doing. A couple of notes. These bottle brush pieces of greenery, these are the thicker pieces. Maybe I can show here a little better. So these thicker pieces of greenery, this is thick, and this is a thinner piece. Here's 2 together. Here's a thick piece, this is bottle brush. This is a thin piece. We don't tie anything around the bottle brushes. They don't last well if we do that, and they're just too fat for the wires to hold securely. So make sure they're always tied to the smaller piece of greenery. Make sure your larger balls are always tied from the bottom, and make sure that you always tie to the center on a no bow wreath. And if you do that, you'll be fine every time. And once you are done, you will make sure that you label it for the job and that you bag it so it's ready to go out. Also, you will double check your lights. Before we ever began this, I checked the lights. You didn't see that process, but I will check here at the end, and we are good. Our lights are working and our wreath is decorated. And if this were an actual wreath, I'd be tying everything in nice and deep and going through when I'm done and checking to make sure everything is firm.